Okay, so this is the problems on circles for math. She said questions 1 to 5 and the solved examples over here. We're gonna do these. They're required. I think one of them may come in the written صراحة. But let's go through them. Some of them are hard, some of them are very easy. Okay. The last thing I have to record for a long time, possibly until maybe last proper recording you guys will be watching on my channel. Since term 3, they're all hebel in 5%. I won't record CAs, maybe only periodics, and I doubt people will watch since term 3 has a 5% weight. So this may be my last video you may be watching. If that's the case, thank you so much for watching, and it's been a long 2 years. We had a great run. 2 year, grade 10, grade 11. That being said, I appreciate all your support, and you were my push to continue going. It's April 18th. I'm recording this for the term 2 final in grade 11. That being said, let's continue and start. Chop. The circle C has a center A 2, 1 and passes through the point 10, 7. Find an equation for C. So how do we find an equation? Obviously, like, the solution is right there, but how do we find an equation for a circle? It's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, right? So we have the center, so it's going to be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to r squared. So the problem is this radius, we need to find it. But they gave us a point on the circle, so we can simply find the distance between that point and the center to find the radius, right? So by doing radius equal to root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, they did it over here. Okay, but they kept it as r squared. Why do they do this actually? You know how r is equal to root this. What they do is they square both sides and they just get rid of the root. Why they do this is because in the formula you write it down as r squared, so they get the value for r squared and directly copy it down instead of getting the root and then squaring it in here. So that's what they do if you are having trouble reading the explanation. Okay, so that's how you do this. They get to r squared. Okay, and this is the equation of C, will therefore be, since you get r squared to be 100, after doing this, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, you're going to get x minus 2 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to r squared, which is 100. So this is your equation. Yalla. So now we know there's a line tangent to our circle, C, at the point B, which is given at 10, 7. Find an equation for L1. So we want to find the equation of a tangent. Remember, to find the equation, you need the slope. Okay, you need the slope. To find the slope, you either have 2 points on that line, or you find the slope of the line perpendicular to it. Do we have 2 points on the tangent given? Obviously not, right? So can we find the slope of the line perpendicular to it? The line perpendicular to the tangent is always the radius, right? And in this case, we have 2 points on the radius. We have the center and we have the point B. So we can find the slope of the radius and therefore find the slope of the tangent by doing -1 over the slope of the radius, right? Since it's perpendicular, right? So let's do it. Let's find first the slope of the radius by doing y2 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1, 7 minus 1 over x2 minus x1, 10 minus 2. You're going to get 6 over 8, so 3 over 4. So the slope of the tangent would be -1 over 3 over 4, which is -4 divided by 3. Okay, -4 over 3. So now can I find an equation for the tangent? Remember, y is equal to mx plus b. Now we found the slope, so we're going to do y is equal to -4 over 3 x plus b. So we're missing the b, right? So how do we do it? We plug in a point on the tangent. If you plug in a, you're going to get the wrong answer, because remember, a isn't on the tangent. A is the center of the circle. It's connected to point b, which is part of the tangent, as you can see. Okay, so you plug in point B. So point B is 10, 7, so 7 is equal to -4 over 3 times 10 plus B. And if you solve this, you're going to get 7 plus 40 over 3, 61 over 3. Okay, so you're going to get B is equal to 61 over 3. So the equation of the tangent will be y is equal to -4 over 3x plus 61 over 3. Okay. Yeah, so you may see this form over here. What people in math like to do when they have denominators and equations of lines and whatever, they like to get rid of the fractions. So what they do is they multiply the whole equation by 3, and you get 3y is equal to minus 4x plus 61. This is also valid if you write this down. Of course, you know, all you did is just multiply by 3 left and right. It's completely fine. So that's part B. Yalla, moving to part C. The line L2 is parallel to L1, okay, and passes through the midpoint of AB, okay, nice. Given that L2 intersects C at the points P and Q, find the length of PQ. So let's, I think it's good if I draw this, okay? I'm gonna try drawing this my best. I'm gonna try my best to draw this because I think you can't solve it without seeing it, okay? So we have a circle over here. Okay, we found the, oh my god, we found the equation in part A to B, x minus 2 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to 100. This was the answer to part A, and here it was y is equal to minus 4 over 3x plus 61 over 3. Okay, we got these two. These are our two answers for A and B. So now, let's just draw it. This is the center A is at 2 comma 1, right? And then you have B, which is at 10 comma 7, which is approximately here, yani. Okay, if you draw the line tangent over there, it kind of looks like this. Okay, and then they're saying now, okay, there is a line L2 that's parallel to L1. So a line parallel to this, so it goes like somewhere like this, okay? And it passes through the midpoint of AB. So let's connect AB, right? Let's connect it. I'll use black here. Let's connect AB. And what is the midpoint of AB? It's going to be somewhere over here. So they said it passes through the midpoint of AB and it intersects the circle at points P and Q. So there's a line that intersects the circle at points P and Q, passes through the midpoint. I'll use a red line here. Okay, like this. Okay, and I'm gonna try, yeah, like this. So these are two parallel lines, right? They're parallel to each other. It passes through P and Q. Okay, and it passes through the midpoint over here, and it's parallel to this one. So obviously they want you to find the length of PQ. Find your answer in simplest search form. To find the length of PQ, obviously we need to find P and we need to find Q, right? So I was looking at the solution actually. I have a method of doing this. It's actually finding the equation of the line and then seeing where it intersects with the circle. But now that I looked at the solution, the solution actually has a very nice method. And what it does is, you have this, right? Obviously, it's a theorem, by the way, that the radius is perpendicular to any chord in the circle. So this is a right angle, okay? So what they did is they actually drew a line like this, and you're like, oh, this is a triangle. And if you can find this, we know that the hypotenuse is just a radius. It's just another radius, right? We know that the radius, we know r squared is equal to 100, right? From the equation. So therefore, we can find the radius, which is 10. So we know this is 10. If we can figure out what this is, then we can easily figure out what this is, and just multiply it by 2 to find the length, right? So I like this way of solving. It's nicer than what I would have done. So let's go through it. So over here, we have a right triangle. Let's try and find, let's call this point I. Always midpoint, they call it either M or I, if you see it in a solution, okay? Obviously, this length AI will be half of the length of the radius, right? The radius is 10, obviously, right? We said the radius is 10. This is r squared, so that means radius is 10. So AI, since it's the midpoint, they told us it's the midpoint, that means it's going to be half of 10, so this is going to be 5. And then AP, it's a point to, from the center to a point on the circle, so of course this is just going to be another radius, right? This is going to be a full radius, 10. So can I find what this is? Of course I can. So let's call this IP, right? Using Pythagoras theorem, 5 squared plus IP squared is equal to the hypotenuse square. So IP squared is equal to 10 squared minus 5 squared. So it's going to be 100 minus 25, root 75. Okay, so this here is root 75. Since we have PQ. They're not asking for PI, they're asking for PQ, the whole thing. So since it's root 75, then obviously here is also root 75, right? So root 75 is root 75, so 2 times root 75, and I think it's 10 root 3. Let's see, 2 times root 75, 10 root 3. Very easy. Very simple. You just need to think of things outside the box, okay? Next question. The figure, okay, this one is sort of annoying صراحة, but again, it's solvable, they're all solvable. Also this one, these two are quite annoying. Okay, the figure above shows a circle C with center Q and radius 4 and the point T which lies on C. The tangent to C at the point T passes through the origin, and OT is equal to 6 radical 5. Given that the coordinates of Q are 11 comma K, so this is 11 comma K, okay, where K is a positive constant, find the exact value of K and then find the equation for the circle. So over here we have a circle, its radius is 4, circle C. It has a tangent to the point T over here, and the length of this segment here is 6 radical 5. So they want you to find the coordinates of this over here. So looking at it, you can do some stuff here, and is that you can extend this line OQ. And isn't this a right triangle? Yes, it is. Don't you have the dimensions of this, and pretty much this? Yes, you do. So you can simply find the length of the hypotenuse, and then after you find the length of the hypotenuse, just apply the distance formula from the origin, and you can find what K is. Okay, so you have this right triangle. The base here is 6 radical 5. The height is 4, and we're just going to call the hypotenuse h. We know h squared using Pythagoras is 4 squared plus 6 root 5 squared. Just do this in a calculator. You're going to get 16 plus 36 times 5. 56 times 5 is 150, 180 plus 16, 196. You're going to get h is equal to the 17, no, which 17? 18, if I'm not wrong. Square root 196. Oh shit, 14. Oh, okay. Where'd I get that? 18. Anyways, yeah. So you're gonna get h is equal to 14. So this is nice. You got 14 over here. So over here, we know that the distance from O to Q is equal to 14, right? Type. We know that O is 0, 0, and we know that Q is 11, K. How do you also find the distance between 2 points? The distance between 2 points, x2 minus x1, 11 minus 0 squared, plus y2 minus y1, k minus 0 squared, is equal to the distance, right? So let's do radical 11 squared plus k squared is equal to 14. Let's square both sides. You're going to get 14 squared is equal to 11 squared plus k squared. So you're going to get k squared is equal to 14 squared minus 11 squared. Okay, over here, k so 11 squared, sorry, 14 squared minus 11 squared. And you're going to get k squared is equal to 75. So you're going to get root 75 is equal to k. And that's just 5 radical 3. Okay, very easy, not too hard. Okay, so now you know that here it's 11 comma k, which is 5 radical 3. They're saying to find an equation for the circle. Very easy. How do you find an equation for the circle? X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Right, very easy. What is the center? It's 11 comma 5 radical 3. So x minus 11 squared plus y minus 5 radical 3 squared is equal to r squared, the radius 4 squared, which is 16. Okay. Okay, moving on. Question 3, this one's sort of annoying. And you can see it has until part E. I think it's fair to say it's not an easy question. Okay, if she wants to get a hard written part, I think she can get this. Personally, I still didn't see question 4 and question 5. I didn't even read them. But what's this? Oh no, this is easy. Okay, this one I haven't done it yet. As I 4 and 5 I haven't done that, but this one I did. Okay, the figure above shows a sketch of circle C with center N and the equation x minus 2 square. Okay, this is the equation of the circle. Okay, write down the coordinates of N. So, what's the center? They gave you the equation. How do you find the center from the equation? Very easy. 2 comma minus 1. Okay, yeah. it's 2 minus 1. Okay, find the radius. Again, they gave you the equation. Remember, this is the same as x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This is r squared, right? So how do we find r? R squared is 169 over 4. That means r will be equal to root 169 over 4, which is 13 over 2, which is 6.5. صح? Yes, okay. The chord AB of C is parallel to the x-axis. It lies below the x-axis. As you can see here, it's below the x-axis and is of length 12 units as shown in the figure above. Find the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B. So you have coordinates of A and coordinates of B. How I really thought of it is, without looking at the solving, is this point, let's say it's x comma y, okay? This point, since it's parallel to the x-axis, that means it's a horizontal line, so the x coordinate is not, the y coordinate is not changing, right? So it still has the same y coordinate, right? It's a horizontal line, but it's just 12 units to the right. So I thought of it as x plus 12 comma y. So you would look at it like this and you'd be like, okay, I kind of got it straight. So let's say these two are points on the circle, right? So, and if I can figure out what their x coordinates are, then I can easily figure out what their y coordinates are, right? So let's take a look here. We know that n, if you draw a line like this, just so you can kind of understand, n, without drawing a line, n is at 2 comma negative 1, right? Okay, and you have these points A and you have this point P. If I came and told you that A is 6 to the left of n, would you agree? Would you agree? Obviously you're gonna agree. Why are you gonna agree? Because over here, look at n. If you draw a line perpendicular to this, just so you can see, it intersects always at the midpoint. It's a theorem in math. The radius always cuts any chord. It's the perpendicular bisector of any chord. So it cuts it into 2 equal halves. Okay, that's the first thing, cuts it into 2 equal halves, and it's perpendicular. Okay, so over here, it can prove to you that over here is 6 units and 6 units. Okay, and we know this is 2 minus 1. So this one here will be 6 units to the right. So what will its x coordinate be? 2 plus 6, which is 8, negative 1. Right? So 8, negative 1. 8 comma y. We don't know the y coordinate of it. Right? Type, and over here, what's it going to be? It's 6 to the left of 2. 2 minus 6 is what? Negative 4 comma y. Now, there are many ways you can go on from solving this. You could maybe substitute negative 4 into here and find the y coordinate. Or you could maybe, what's it called? How do I just thought of another way. Where does it go? I don't know. Let's say the other way I'm thinking of, other than just substituting this x coordinate into the equation, is you have 6 over here. You want to kind of find the y, right? And how much lower than point n did we go, right? So here's an idea I thought of, and I think this is the one also they used in the marking scheme, is look here. We know that this radius over here, this is 6.5. We found it. We found this radius, it's 6.5. We know the base is 6. Using Pythagoras theorem, can I find, and we know this is the right triangle, can't I find what h is? Yes, I can, right? So using Pythagoras theorem, h squared plus 6 squared is equal to 6.5 squared. So h squared, let's find it. 6.5 squared minus 6 squared, then radical, you get 2.5. So h is equal to 2.5. So this is great because now I know how much lower points A and B are from negative 1. They're 2.5 units lower. So negative 1, you go down 2.5, you're going to be left at negative 3.5. So the coordinates of A are negative 4 comma minus 3.5, and B will be 8 comma minus 3.5. Easy. Show that the angle A and B is equal to 134.8 degrees to the nearest 0.1 of a degree. So let's clean these up. I'm just going to put the coordinates. One sec. Okay, down pause. Yeah. So these are the coordinates that we found, right? They want us to find and show that this angle over here, this black angle, A and B, is 134.8 degrees. So what do we know? We know that this is 12, we know that this is 6.5, and this is 6.5. So we have all three sides in the triangle and we want to find this an angle. What rule do we use for this? As previously used in chapter 9, we use the cosine rule, right? And cosine alpha, okay, this is to find an angle. The cosine rule is a side squared is equal to the other two sides squared minus 2 times the other two sides times cosine of that angle. But that's when you want to find the side. But let's say you want to find the angle, it's equal to the side opposite to it squared. So in this case, let's call this A, B. Yeah, they have letters also. This is N, right? It's equal to the side opposite to it squared minus the other two sides divided by negative 2 times the other two sides. Okay, so let's do this in our calculator. It's 6.5, 6.5, and 12, right? So 6.5, 6.5, and 12. So the side opposite to it, it's 12 squared minus 6.5 squared minus 6.5 squared over negative 2 times the other two sides. You're going to get this. So cosine alpha is equal to this. So to find this answer, we do shift cosine. Oh, I'm on radians, shit. Equate this. Okay, go shift to degrees. Shift cosine, and I should get there you go, 134.76 to the near 0.1. You're gonna get alpha is equal to 134.8 degrees, right? If you round it. The way they did this is different than the way I did, which is again easier, but like there's a lot of assumptions. So what they did is they found this angle over here and they just multiplied it by 2, which makes sense, I guess. I mean, opposite over, you can use opposite over hypotenuse, you could use adjacent over hypotenuse, whatever. It makes sense, everything makes sense. Okay, you can use their ways. Alright, that's nice. Last part, find the length AP, giving your answer. Oh, okay, wait, they said something else. So the tangents to the circle at the points A and B meet at the point P, as shown here. Find the length AP. Give your answer to 3SF. Let's take a look. So the way they did this, again, I thought of a completely different way. Like, there's a lot of ways you guys can approach these questions. Is they did this over here. You know what I mean? I'll do that. Let me just remove this over here in the middle. So you see this here, right? This is the tangents, right? So what they did is they extended it like this, and they got a right triangle like this. We know, no, this is 6.5, and we know, this angle. We found the full angle. This angle here, the small black one. Right, let me make it blue, so it doesn't blend in. The blue one is just half of the full angle that we found here, right? So divide this by 2, you're gonna get 67.4 degrees. Okay, so this one here is 67.4 degrees. Okay, and we have this side. Can we find this side? This is opposite, this is adjacent. So tan of this angle would be equal to the AP, which they're asking for, the opposite side, over the adjacent side, the radius, 6.5. Okay, and you're gonna get tan 67.4 is equal to AP over 6.5, and you just do 6.5 times tan 67.4. And I'm using this way because Saraha it's easier than my way. 6.5 times tan 67.4, you get 15.6 to 3 significant figures. Is that what they got? Yeah, okay. Okay, by the way, this is a right triangle because this is radius and this is a tangent. And you guys know that the radius is always perpendicular to the tangent. Okay, question 4. The circle C has equation x squared plus y squared minus 20x minus 24y, whatever. The center of C is at the point M. We'll find the coordinates of the point M. And you find the center. How do you find the center? If it's in standard form, you divide the coefficients of x and y by negative 2. Right? Negative 20 over negative 2 is 10. Negative 24 over negative 2 is 12. Very easy. The radius of the circle, how do you find the radius? The radius, if it's in standard form, it's half radical a squared plus b squared minus 4c, right? So it's going to be, in this case, 0.5 radical a squared, which is 20 square plus b squared, 24 squared, minus 4c times 195. You got 7. So the radius is 7. So n is the point with coordinates 25, 32. Find the length of the line mn. So to find the length of any line, just its distance formula, x2 radical x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So it equals radical 15. Well, I ain't doing this, bro. Put it on a calculator. Radical 15 squared plus 20 squared. You get 25. For the length is 25. So the tangent to C at the point P on the circle passes through the point N. So I think we gotta draw this way. Okay, Nick. So we have our center M. We have a point, I don't know, P. Okay, and there's a tangent take. Okay, and you have this point N, which is on the tangent. So they want us to find the length of the line. And yeah, what's this shitty drawing? Hold up. Okay, circle. Point P is over here. This is the center M. This is the point P. The tangent goes like this. And there's a point N up here. They want us to find the length of this line NP. So I'm thinking to do this with slopes. I'm thinking to do this with, I don't know, intersection, find this point, find this. But I'm remembering, like, they asked me, to find the radius, which is 7. So the distance from M to P is 7. They asked me to find the length of NP. Sorry, to find the length of MN. So distance from N to N is what? 25. So can't I just find NP by using Pythagoras theorem? This is a right angle. Why? Because the radius is perpendicular to the tangent. Of course I can. So if I call this h, it's going to be h squared plus 7 squared is equal to 25 squared. So we can easily find h by just doing 25 squared minus 7 squared, and the radical of that answer, you get 24. So this is easy. Last one. The points P, Q, and R lie on the circle as shown in the figure above. Given that PR is the diameter of the circle, okay, show that A is equal to 13. Okay, so again, I was thinking of my way to do this, and then before I read this solution, and Saraha, it's easier than the way I'm doing it. So they gave you P, Q, and R. Nice. They told you that PR is a diameter. So if this is a diameter, that means it cuts it into 2 halves, right? Okay, and they want you to show that the coordinate A of R is 12. So let's see. This one here is a right triangle. Why, other than it shows in the figure, is because it's, it says it here, it's inscribed in a semicircle. If you guys remember from last year, inscribed angles, they're formed, when you have both the endpoints on the circle. It's going to be a right angle when it cuts half a circle, right? Because remember, the inscribed angle is half of the arc it cuts, right? So when it's in a semicircle, then obviously it's a right angle. Okay, so they use the fact that this is a right angle. Okay, if this is a right angle, that means this line is perpendicular to this line, right? So I can find the slope of this and the slope of this and apply that they're perpendicular. I can easily find what the point R is. Okay, but let's find the slope of PQ. It's written here. PQ is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 10 minus 2 over 9 minus 3. You get 2 over 3. Okay? And then the slope of QR, y2 minus y1, 4 minus 10 minus 4. What? It doesn't matter the order. 10 minus 4 over x minus x1, 9 minus a. So you're going to get the slope of PQ is 2 over 3. And the slope of QR, it's 6 over 9 minus a. Okay. We know that the slope of QR is equal to negative 1 over the slope of PQ, right? Since they're perpendicular. Type. That means the slope of QR, which is, we're trying to find it, 6 over 9 minus a, is equal to 1 over the slope of PQ, 2 over 3. Negative 1 over, negative 1 over 2 over 3. So what can you do? You can take the 3 up. It's going to become 6 over 9 minus a is equal to negative 3 over 2. Then they said, the rule originally, by the way, is that the product is negative 1. So they just used it like that. I did it like this. It doesn't matter. You can use it like this, This is just a proof here. Okay, so you get this. Negative 1 over now you just cross multiply to find a. Very easy. 6 times 2, 12, is equal to negative 3 times 9, which is negative 27. Negative 3 times negative a is plus 3a. Okay, so 39 is equal to 3a, so a is equal to 13. Very nice. Find now an equation for C. Okay, now that we know that a is equal to 13, it's very easy to find an equation, right? So we know that this is now 13 comma 4, right? So if it's 13 comma 4, can you find an equation for C? We know that this is what? A diameter. So isn't the midpoint of this the center of the circle? Okay, before I say that, to find an equation we need the center, right, hk, and we need the radius, right? طب where do I get the center from? This is where what I said earlier. And no, this is a diameter. To find the center, you just find the midpoint, cut it in half to find the length, which is the radius, and cut it in half to find the midpoint, which is the coordinates of the center, right? Because it's a diameter. طيب, let's أول شي find the midpoint. How do we find the midpoint? x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2, right? So for the midpoint between 13 and minus 3 is 13 minus 3 over 2, and then 4 plus 2 over 2. So it's going to be 10 over 2, 5, 6 over 2, 3. 5 comma 3. So the midpoint is 5 comma 3. So we can replace this by x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared. R squared. Let's take a look. R. What's R? R is half the length of the diameter. Let's do it. Half of the length of the diameter. How? What's the length of the diameter? x2 minus x1 squared. So 13 minus 3 squared. Plus y2 minus y1 squared. 4 minus 2 squared. Right? We're finding half of it because we only want the radius. This is the diameter. So 0.5 times radius. Sorry, shoe radius. Radical. 16 squared plus 2 squared. You get root 65. Okay, so the radius is root 65. Remember, they want r squared in the equation, so root 65 squared becomes what? 65. So let's check this answer. X minus 5, y minus 3, 65. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and if this may be your last video watching me, thank you so much for what has been an amazing 2 years, and I appreciate all your support, and every single view counts. Thank you so much for watching, and for the last time, good luck in your exam.